Across our community, many face mental health challenges in silence.
It's time to break that silence and shatter the stigma.
Every voice, every story matters.
Join us in the Hear Me, See Me campaign.
Let's unite to shine the light on mental health.
Showing everyone they're seen,
heard,
and supported.
Visit WIBW.com/hearmesee-me.
Together, we can start the healing. Be seen, be heard, be supported.
Start.
How you been?
Not good. And it's been so long since I felt happy. I just feel so lost and alone and like nobody understands. I feel like nobody really hears me. I'm good, how are you?
Good, I'm great.
Awesome.
The Hazenkamp family has farmed land around Soldier, Kansas for generations. For them, the pain of suicide is all too familiar.
He felt like he was a burden. And, you know, when you ask for help, sometimes you feel like you are a burden, but that's not true. You're not a burden. The value of Dad's life is invaluable.
Nick lost his father, Bob, to suicide in 2010 after a battle with health and financial issues.
It's a population that is very self-sufficient, and they pride themselves on working hard and maintaining control of, you know, the crops and the cattle, and being able to do that on their own. Some maybe feel that they're weak if they ask for help. Losing that sense of control is a vulnerable thing, and you know, farmers and ranchers, and you know, myself included, and all of us, it's very difficult to be vulnerable.
The issue also is personal for Sarah Gideon.
I lost my first friend at the age of 15 to death by suicide. I've lost friends in the ranching industry to their death by suicide.
Gideon now works to prevent it through the Health Innovations Network of Kansas, or HINC. According to the National Rural Health Association, farmers have about a 3.5% higher rate of death by suicide than the general population.
Weather issues, commodity prices, high inputs, costs like the cost of diesel, the cost of grain, of seed, etc., that cause a lot of stress.
I do struggle with depression, and the things that bother me or cause my depression are things I can't control as a human or as a farmer.
Dan Nerud of Nebraska Corn Board sees the seeds not only in himself, but the farmers he works with.
The problem that it's kept so quiet behind closed doors.
HINC is working to bring it into the open through its SPIN initiative, the Suicide Prevention Information Network.
So our Coffee Cup project, we actually go out into the communities and we visit those businesses within the communities, our local hotspots. Also within our website, you will find a list of resources specific to the ag and ranching industry. That might mean financial resources, help with their family, stressors, those ag-specific industry resources that they could take advantage of.
Holton Community Hospital says the need for mental health care is always increasing.
Every 3 years, we perform a community health needs assessment. Behavioral health and mental health resources and a lack thereof has come up year after year that we've done that.
The Hazenkamp family says communicating with loved ones and asking questions is key.
If you're a brother, be a brother. If you're a mother, be a mother. If you're a father, be a father. Play the role that you've been given, and love them, and just remind them every day that they're valuable and they mean more to your family and more to you than what they even really realize.
You can tell 14 years later and it still hurts, but our saying is things are going to work out. You just got to trust in God and it's going to be okay.
We have a list of available resources for farmers and ranchers and anyone seeking mental health help on our website at WIBW.com.
Welcome into the Eye on Northeast Kansas Hear Me, See Me podcast. Hear Me, See Me is a project of WIBW-TV, our year-long effort to raise awareness of mental health, some of the issues people face, some of the resources that are available, and beyond all, letting everyone know that there is hope. We're also sharing stories, and today we are joined by Ms. Felicia Glass. Felicia, you're a social worker, you're a counselor, you are just a person who is knowing everything. Maybe not knowing everything, but if anybody knows you, Felicia, they know what a positive person you are. I've heard you speak and I'm always motivated by you. How do you come by that positivity?
You know, it's a choice every day. Every day it's a choice.
Welcome into our Hear Me, See Me podcast. Hear Me, See Me is a special mental health awareness project of WIBW-TV here in Topeka, Kansas. As we kick off May's Mental Health Awareness Month, we are blessed to be joined today by a member of the family that really revolutionized psychiatry and psychological care and how we have come to understand mental health in this country. Dr. Walt Menninger, thank you so much for being here.
You overestimate what we did, but thank you.
And I suppose if there's one thing people take away, I hope it's just that they remember Damon's mom saying, I wish he would have told me. I wish I would have been given the chance. One of the things I said like over and over after he died was, I would have walked to the ends of the earth to get him help if I just had known. And so that's what I hope people know, is that they're really, no matter what your brain is telling you, there are people out there who would walk to the ends of the earth.
One moment, just one moment. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's okay to not be okay. We can't fix what we don't know is broken. Right. We can't help what we don't know, and we can't heal what we don't know is hurting. And that's what Damon's Purpose is all about. You debuted this, essentially, at a youth party.
Yeah.
Why was that important to you?
I work with the youth, and I know where they're at. I know the stats. I've shared the stats a million times, but I was sitting with one of our youth and I let him hear a song. So I was like, I want to hear how this connects with you. And at the end of our conversation, that youth went out and got therapy. I felt it's really important, especially for our youth, because of how vulnerable they are, to see and to hear that someone that they look up to needs help and will get help. I don't want them to be 34, having anxiety attacks and wrestling with pride because they can't admit that they need help.
Mental health affects us all. Let's end the silence with Hear Me, See Me. Be a part of a movement to support and connect. Visit WIBW.com/Hear Me, See Me. Be seen, be heard.
Mental health affects us all. Let's end the silence with Hear Me, See Me. Be part of a movement to support and to connect. Visit WIBW.com/Hear Me, See Me. Be seen, be heard.
Good afternoon and welcome to a special edition of Eye on Northeast Kansas. We are launching a special campaign here at WIBW-TV called Hear Me, See Me. All this year, we'll be shining a spotlight on mental health, raising awareness, erasing stigma, connecting you with resources, and inspiring change along the way too. We start right now with an overview of what mental health is and how communities are working to address it. Please know as we go through this discussion, if you or someone you know is in crisis, you can reach the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988. What do we mean when we say mental health? That's where we're starting today. Dr. Laura Seidlinger is Director of Medical Services at Vallejo Behavioral Health in Topeka. Jenna Dunham is Director of Medical Services at Pawnee Mental Health in Manhattan. And Amanda Cunningham is CEO of Crosswinds Counseling and Wellness in Emporia. So glad you all could be with us, and I'm so glad that we have our region represented here today. It's so important because, Dr. Seidlinger, it is a broad definition when we say mental health. What are we talking about?
So I'm gonna take it from the other angle because we talk about mental health disorders, they can be behavioral or psychological changes that then can impact other areas of our lives, our work, our school, our relationships, our peers, and it can be something that can be just very minor, some anxiety, which is a normal emotion, but it helps, it keeps us in check, but it can get out of hand and keep us from doing things that we should be doing. Or it can progress into more serious mental illnesses, such as the severe persistent mental illnesses like bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, as well as other psychotic disorders.
How do you, Jenna, weigh out one versus the other? So those that, and we don't want to say those that don't necessarily affect your life, because that's the point. They all are going to affect your life. But those that are the severe persistent mental illness versus those that maybe people think of as something that we could perhaps more easily cope with in our life?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think a lot of it is about balance, and it's also about not operating in a silo and being able to normalize a lot of what we experience as mental health, because honestly, mental health will touch you, me, and everyone that we know in one fashion or another. And so understanding when it's okay to reach out, when it's good to get connected to resources, maybe the answer is we always should be connected in those networks in some fashion or another.
For you all in Emporia, Amanda, is there any specific challenge you see in being able to make these resources available for people across the spectrum?
I think that's a really broad question.
Right.
I think that there are lots of barriers that we have run into over the years that we are slowly trying to get rid of and have better access and address some of those things differently. So traditionally we might have scheduled an intake or a new service, and it'd take you 7 to 10 days to get in, and then another month to 2 months to 3 months to get medication and things like that. Yeah. Now we have open access. You can come in same day and get those services and then get into medications in 1 to 3 days. And so just streamlining everything and making sure that there are no unnecessary barriers for people to get in and get those services started.
Let's hit on that severe persistent mental illness, because we're probably going to talk about the others a little bit more frequently as we go through this discussion. What do we talk about? What are those diagnoses that we mean when we talk about the severe persistent mental illness?
The two that I think I treat the most would be the persons who have schizophrenia or psychotic disorders. They may range from some benign delusions that really don't impact their lives, or it can be other things that become almost like phobic fears, feeling like they may have devices implanted in themselves, or they can hear the TV communicating with them, and that can be very, very distressing. Oftentimes you will see people who may respond to unseen others, or they may feel like something's touching them that's not there. Mm-hmm. And so, and the bipolar disorder is more of I describe it more as an emotional roller coaster, because people can be very high and then very low, or very irritable and then very low. And just finding that balance and getting somebody off that emotional roller coaster, or getting those moods regulated towards the middle where normal people live.
Right. What is normal?
Now, there is no such thing as normal. And I guess that's one of the points, is that we don't look at any mental illness, no matter the severity, as any different than we look at medical issues like high blood pressure, diabetes, even like cancer.
When we hear these diagnoses, Jenna, can people with those types of severe persistent mental illness live in the community?
Yes, absolutely they can. And we are here to help get them the resources and the supports that they need for them to be able to do that successfully. I think one of the biggest barriers that we experience is in the practices that I'm in now is social determinants of health is a huge barrier. And that can impact someone's life. If you can imagine having difficulty with finances, with transportation, and those kind of things, and then also having to deal with mental health being a barrier for you as well, it can make it exceedingly difficult to access things that you might need and services that you might need.
And when you're in an area like you are, Amanda, because you serve a wide swath around Emporia, which is very rural, when you're in an area like that, what are the barriers you encounter as well?
Well, they're about the same. They just look a little different. So the transportation, stigma related to even going in for mental health services, could be cost and the socioeconomic status. All those things kind of play into that. And so what you're seeing in the big cities, might be a 10-mile stretch. Now we're talking 55-mile stretch of how do we get to individuals when they're in need, and how do we get them into our offices or whatever that is that they're seeking.
A lot of questions, and all of you are working to find answers. And of course, with such a wide range of people needing a wide range of help, how are communities working to meet all those needs? We'll take a closer look next.
Many adults spend most of our waking hours at our jobs, certainly, so it's only natural that our workplace can also impact our mental health. As part of our Hear Me, See Me initiative this year, 13's Madison Bickley looks closer at how area employers are helping employees find support on the job.
David, the societal stigma toward mental health has many remaining silent, specifically within the workplace. Some Topeka organizations are implementing ways to create supportive environments that prioritize everyone's well-being. The team at Advisors Excel saw firsthand how avoiding conversations about mental health can change the course of someone's life.
We had an unfortunate situation, really unfortunate, where one of our key team members took his life. To see someone who was such a close friend and such a strong person, literally one of our absolute top performers here that people would turn to for everything, and we would always call him our culture ambassador, right? Just everyone here loved him.
The tragedy opened their eyes to a growing trend, and it wasn't a good one.
So 1 in 5 adults will struggle with a mental health condition this year, and we know that to be true. So that's 20% of our population's walking around struggling. But the average to seek treatment is 10 or 11 years before a person accesses therapy or some kind of official treatment to treat the diagnosis.
The situation raised a question.
How do we make this easier for people to say, yes, I do need to go talk to someone?
The company hired an on-site therapist, and demand was so great they recently added another. They're also trying to foster an environment amplifying what it means to be seen and heard.
When we really push and say, hey, I care about you and I really want to know the truth, I don't know a single person in this world that doesn't react to that positively of like, oh, someone sees me, someone cares about me.
Knowing the warning signs can be tricky if you don't know where to start. Vallejo Behavioral Health offers community mental health first aid classes that walk you through those steps.
With mental health being a top line item right now of people's concern and discussion, we feel it's really important that these classes are offered. We're very proud to be able to do that at Vallejo, and it does assist you in identifying risk factors.
Having those resources better prepares you to provide support and be a voice for those who need it most.
If you're in a public setting and you see something that isn't quite right, you know how to engage, de-escalate, and identify maybe what's going on with that person who may be having a mental health crisis.
Understanding that we are all human better helps us to walk in someone else's shoes.
I just think if all of us lived with the perspective of we don't know what everyone's going through and just maybe gave everyone a little more grace in our interactions with them, that would be a good thing. I just don't want to have what happened to my friend happen to anybody else I care about ever again.
If you or someone you know is having a mental health crisis, you can dial 988 24/7 for free and confidential support. You can also find resources at WIBW.com/hearmesee me.
In the heart of America and among the beauty and vitality of Kansas lies a silent crisis, and it's one that touches every corner of our state.
This year, we here at WIBW are taking a stand for the mental health of our community, a stand for those who feel unheard and unseen.
Kansas ranks last in the nation for mental health care. It's a reality we can no longer ignore. The impact is real, the numbers are growing, and the stories behind them are heart-wrenching. But there is hope. Hope in action, hope in community, hope in speaking out. That's why we're launching the Hear Me, See Me campaign.
Through Hear Me, See Me, we are dedicating our resources, our reach, and our resolve to shed light on this crisis. We are here to amplify voices, to share stories, to connect people to the help that they need, but we can't do it alone. We need you, businesses, leaders, individuals too, to stand with us, to say no more suffering in silence, no more standing on the sidelines.
Join us in the Hear Me, See Me campaign. Together, we can break the stigma, we can offer support, we can save lives. This is our moment to make a difference in Kansas.
Be a part of this change. Hear us, see us, join us.
My best friends, both living and dead, I still have obligations to
my duties as next sheriff is to tell the truth and to be brave. And I will damn well be authentic when it comes to these experiences that I've had, and mine were very painful. I was a functional alcoholic for 3 years after the wars. That's how I never got in trouble with the work of the law. But I drank to compensate. You know, like earlier you asked me, and other people have asked me
the origins of the San Pellegrino.
Why the Pellegrino? I replaced Jack Daniels with Pellegrino, and I've been sober almost 8 years now. And it has given me the strength I needed to functionally and deal with these different things. I miss my friends. I lost 13 very close friends of mine over a space of 10 years. 11 were killed in action, and 3, two committed suicide. One was my roommate and one was my teammate. So those are, I think, the most painful.
It sounds like what you're saying, and I think people can relate to, without you having to go into and relive all the details, is that you saw very difficult things, very tragic things.
Right.
And at the same time, because of the environment, your body's constantly in the fight or flight mode. You don't have that, you say you had time, but it sounds like that time came after you got home and you're back with your family.
There's a sudden stop. You're busy. I lived out of suitcases and sea bags for years and years and years. You're constantly, you're looking forward to the next deployment after you're still kind of getting over, or you press the pause button on what happened.
The Kansas Mental Health Coalition shared a message of support today. 13's Michaela Kelly's back in the newsroom with a look at their Advocacy Day at the Capitol.
Melissa, advocates and agencies from across the state rallied together to not only support each other, but to use their voices to advocate for policies that prioritize mental health.
Not only an opportunity for us all to get together in person and network with one another.
I get a lot of really desperate phone calls from people all across the state, and I cannot express how much these groups matter in making sure people are healthy and happy and safe and can live fulfilling lives.
Melissa also spoke at today's event, sharing information about WIBW's Hear Me, See Me project. You can find mental health resources at wibw.com/hearmeseeme. Melissa?
We continue. Vallejo hosted its second annual Breakfast for Hope. It took place at the Beacon, right near the State House. Former Chiefs player Kendall Gammon was keynote speaker. He encouraged everyone to do something that makes a difference and reminded people we all see things from different perspectives.
This is not Kevin Bacon and 6 degrees of separation. This is 1 degree of separation. And just being aware of it and understanding that it's real, even when it's hard to understand at times, I think is so very important. There were times that I was dark, but I had a lot of support, but some people don't have that support or they don't know how to go about things. Or you might be thinking number 2.
I was also humbled to be honored with the special Mental Health Awareness Warrior Award for our efforts supporting the organization and for our team's Hear Me, See Me campaign. We are keeping an eye.
Vallejo works with over 80 community partners, and many were proudly in attendance tonight.
It's just great to see them here and to see them supporting us.
And our very own Melissa Bruner served as MC tonight. If you or someone you know is experiencing a mental health crisis, you can call the 24-hour crisis hotline at 785-234-3300 or visit Vallejo's 24-hour crisis center at 333 Southwest Oakley Ave. Callie?